Jonathan, why should people listen to our episode today?
Well, if you're already here, you're listening to it. So that's the first thing. You just want to stick around to the end. What I'm going to talk about based upon your questions really is the psychology behind sales, what goes into the process, and how you can improve your sales incrementally but exponentially by making sure you're doing the right things.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Coach Tribe podcast. Today, we are having with us the awesome, amazing Jonathan. Some of you might know him already because he was on a previous episode together with his incredible wife, Sasha. And now he's here with us again just because he has so much value to give. For those that do not know Jonathan, he is a high energy master connector and sales wizard equipped with former professional acting experience. He has generated over 1 million in sales from one funnel, and he is the founder of Guud Marketing agency. Jonathan, this stage is all yours. Hello, we are thrilled to have you with us here.
Oh my goodness, it's so great to be back and it's so great to see you. I mean, I rave about you, your amazing interview ability, and just the way you connect. So it has just been an absolute treat. And I'm ready for you to take the reins and take us wherever we need to go.
Oh, I will do exactly so. Plus, now I get to know you a bit better, so I can go even deeper with those questions. Now, for everyone to know, today we're going to tackle two topics. We're going to learn how to be confident on the screen, on the stage, public speaking skills, and we're really going to go in depth into sales skills that coaches need to master in order to drive those sales. So, Jonathan, why should people listen to our episode today?
Well, if you're already here, you're listening to it. So that's the first thing. You just want to stick around to the end. What I'm going to talk about based upon your questions really is the psychology behind sales, what goes into the process, and how you can improve your sales incrementally but exponentially by making sure you're doing the right things. My history, I've been in sales my whole life. I give the kudos, whatever, the homage to my grandfather, who back in the day, before it became a thing, like a sleazy thing, my grandfather literally for 30 plus 40 years sold Oldsmobile cars and was always the top salesman. So I feel like it's a genetic thing passed down. But that being said, just because you're good at it, you still have to work at it. And so you haven't asked any questions, but I started my first company at 8 years old. I started a chocolate chip cookie company called Jay's Cookies because I wanted to visit my grandparents. They lived in Memphis. We were in Connecticut. My mom said, if you want to go visit, you're going to have to buy the plane ticket. So we discussed. My mom was really, really cultivating and really helped me uplift in that and think through this. And I think that's where a lot of my processes come from as well, because it was very supportive. And I like to bake. I love to bake and cook. And so I was like, I can do chocolate chip cookies. I knew of Famous Amos. I was like, I'll start a chocolate chip cookie company. And so I started making chocolate chip cookies. I went to the grocery store. I priced everything down in a spreadsheet down to the ingredients for what it would cost per cookie, all of that fun stuff that you would do. And then I literally took our church directory and cold called everyone from A to Z selling my cookies with my pitch, my story, why I'm doing it, the special offer. If you buy a dozen, you'll get a baker's dozen, so they'd get a free cookie. All of those things. We would make the cookies, and then we would, on the weekends, my mom was amazing, literally would drive me around all over town delivering cookies. I earned enough to not only buy the plane ticket, but doing things with other people I found is always more fun. So I actually rebranded to EJ's Cookies and brought in my best friend at the time, Eric, and we became EJ's Cookies, and we would rotate between my house and his house. And it was just an amazing experience. And then from there, I've had all sorts of different sales jobs. Worst being selling World Book encyclopedias door to door, to what I'm doing now. So I kind of just rambled there, Maria. So,
Well, we now have a very good idea of how long your experience with sales goes back in time.
If you're listening to this, you're probably trying to build and scale your online business. Am I right? Then we have just the thing for you, and it's free.
We're building Pensite to enable people like you to set up your online store and monetize your knowledge via courses, one-to-one sessions, group coaching, digital products, Q&As, and bundles. It's purpose-built for you with bonus features such as video recordings, private notes for each client, Zapier integration, calendar sync, analytics, and much, much more to handle your scheduling automatically, accept payments, and help you scale your business.
Check it out at pensight.com.
Now, I know you have a marketing agency and you work with lots of coaches and you help them get in those leads. So my first question for you, Jonathan, is what are the top things that coaches should know when it comes to sales?
I think that's a really good question. And so it's not just coaches, it's everybody, business owners, anybody that has a business. When it comes to sales, there's a couple pieces of the puzzle. One, is it something that they're automatically looking for where you don't really have to do much effort. But the sale is an emotional piece. People don't buy logically, they buy emotionally. So when you tap into that and you're not abusing that, but you get them to emotionally see how you can solve their problem, the features and benefits don't matter. If you can solve their problem, if you can make it take less time, if you can make it take less money, if you can make their life easier, that's going to sell a lot easier. In today's age, where we're inundated with everything, it's no longer that always be closing sales attitude, the salesy salesman, that doesn't work anymore. It's about connection and relationship, especially when it comes, if you're talking in the coaching world or if you're talking in the B2B world as well, even B2C. You want to establish that connection with your potential client, with that lead, with the person that's looking at your business, because they want to feel heard. That's at the core of all of who we are. We want to feel heard. We want to feel understood. And if you can transform the relationship from not knowing the person to creating that, that's gonna make your sales so much easier, and you're gonna find more of your perfect fit clients.
Love this perspective on, sales is also really about that connection and building relationships. That is interesting. Can you go even more in depth into this misconception that people have over sales and what they should do and what they actually should do?
I think a lot of times people don't think about the whole sales process, right? When you're in the marketing space, there's a sales funnel. And it's a process of whittling people down from people finding you and not knowing you to becoming a client where the revenue comes in. And if you skip certain steps, you're going to miss key elements, which can very easily cause you to lose the sale, lose the client. At the top, they have to find who you are, right? What you're doing, however that is. If they're reading a blog article, watching a video, someone talks about you, you're watching this podcast, they want to relate. They can relate to you. They hear something that you're saying or sharing that resonates, right? And I'll give a really good example of this. You can know who your ideal client is, right? And let's just pick, and we're not talking 30 to 35-year-old male, blah, blah, blah. But you know who they are, what they do. And let's just say I'm speaking to coaches, and I like to work with coaches that help relationships, right? And we'll say married relationships that are having trouble. Now, I can speak because I know who my perfect fit client is exactly to them. But if I'm communicating in a way that's so clear, there could be someone in a totally different space that wants personal development, that wants business coaching, all of those, and it's going to resonate. And that's what's going to be the first thing that starts the kindling. And when you do that, you have to grow upon it. You have to then bring them into your world. You have to indoctrinate them. And now there is the outlier where every once in a while there's someone that comes in and is like, you know what, I'm ready to buy. I want it. I don't care. I don't need to know more. But more times than not, especially with how fast food society works, we're trying to make the sale right away. In a spiritual sense, we're trying to reap before we sow. And what you need to do is you need to make sure you're sowing your seeds. You need to make sure you're putting the stuff out there. You're communicating with them in a way that continues to keep them in your ecosystem. And my wife likes to refer to this as greasing the water slide. You go into a water slide, you always end up in the same place, right? But if you can grease the water slide, you're going to move a little, or baby oil yourself. You're going to get down that faster. But the biggest thing is making sure that they're doing it. They're coming into you and they're staying in your ecosystem, right? They don't go to a water park and then all of a sudden end up at a grocery store. They go on the lazy river and they go on, the big slide and they go on the typhoon, but they're still in the water park. And so you want to do that so that they get to see you from all different sides. They get to learn about you and what you do. They continue to build that trust and relationship. It's no longer know, like, and trust. It's not about know, like, and trust. It's know, love, and trust, because there are so many out there now. And there's so many out there that are saying they can do these things without what's the word I'm looking for? Checks and balances. They're going to say, somebody takes, let's say, a Facebook ads course, then all of a sudden, and they take it from someone that's done $3, $5, $10 million in sales, right? Or somebody built one funnel. And I taught somebody how to build one funnel, let's say. And then they're like, I can sell how to build a funnel. Well, they haven't sold $1 million funnel. They haven't created $1 million funnel. We're so quick to become experts instead of spending the time doing that. And this is taking a little bit off of sales. But if you look at creating a relationship with every single person, and it doesn't have to be intimate, it doesn't have to spend and take a lot of your time, but if you can create a relationship where they feel the relationship, and then when they connect with you, it continues and it grows, that's going to make your sales process easier. And now, depending on what you're selling, depending on where your price point is, you may have to get on the phone with them and talk to them. You can do it through DMs. They may just have to go somewhere and buy your product, right? But you want to make it as easy as possible for them. You want to give them every opportunity to say yes to you, and how they can say yes to do. Yes to opening an email. Yes to reading an article. Yes to coming to a webinar. Yes to do this. Yeah, right? It used to be get them, they have to see you 5 to 7 times, 10 times before someone was ready to make a buying decision. It's now like 25 to 30 times before someone feels comfortable. So how quickly can you get that to happen? Right? How quickly can you get them? Because we all live in that place of no. How is this going to work for me? I'm the one that it doesn't work for. I've been burned in the past. Wow, this is a lot of money. But how can you slice through those barriers to get them open to what you have? And creating the openness, creating the possibility, opens the window for you to step in and be their solution. And if you don't step into that window, what happens is it closes and it fills back up with something that you don't have control over and you don't want it to fill with. They don't want it to fill with because it fills with what they're comfortable with. And what they're comfortable with keeps them safe.
Well, I'm sold, Jonathan. Now, big question for you. How do we do that? How do we get them there? I would like to get specific action points that this coaches can do from A to B to Z to actually get these people through this process that you were mentioning. What can they do specifically?
Another really good thing, and I don't have anything written down, so I'm going to just talk about ideas that you can do. But the first thing is how you show up, right? Show up authentically. Share the things that are the hard things, the things that other people don't say. Have hills you'll die on. Like when you have something, like my wife will die on the hill that pineapple is perfect on pizza, right? She'll die on that hill. People will be like, pineapple's the grossest. And she's like, I'll die on it. And you know what? There are people that are like, I love you for this. I love you for this. I love you for this. It's the same in business. Doesn't matter. We have a client, and devout Christian. She has set out, and it's called the Reluctant Feminist Christian, right? And she was worried when she left out with this because it goes against so much of that faith. But wow, when we walked with her through the strategy of how to show up that way and coming to the clarity of that, the people that are following her, the people that are showing up for her are exactly who she wants to talk to. But it was scary for her to say that because it was unknown and it felt like it was rocking the boat. So have your opinions, be strong in your conviction about that. That's a first thing. And you have to show up, right? If you're not showing up saying these things, however you do it, And it doesn't have to be all personal. You don't have to like share all your dirty laundry. Like, hey, I've got this problem and this problem. You want people to get to know you, right? Relate it to stories that are relatable. The top of funnel in marketing is like where they're finding you, where they're getting to learn to know you. There's the why, the how, and the what, right? The why, who you are, why you do what you do, like your passions, the fact that I like to fly drones and I'm doing a Spartan Beast. Those things where they get to know who you are and why they would find affinity towards you, right? So the faster you can build that is great. Those are great steps because it's, again, creating the relationship. And while it's not sitting down and talking like we are, it feels like you're having a conversation and they're going, oh, I get that. I relate to that. They get me. When they hear it and they feel like you're speaking directly to them, you're on the right path. And on the caveat, which is amazing, is when you're doing that and the person's like, don't get it, don't relate, they self-select themselves out. And that's so powerful. So once you've done that and you're starting to show up in that way, that is going to instantaneously change your audience. It's going to give you that authority positioning where people look to you as the trusted advisor. So that's one. Two, don't be afraid to give away all your secrets, right? It used to be like, I'm going to hold cards close to my vest because I don't want anybody to take what I do. And to get access to this, they got to pay me. But guess what? Think about this psychologically. If you give them everything, first of all, 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle, 80% of the people aren't going to do it. 20% of the people might. But if you're talking to certain people, they don't really have the time to do it. They'll want you to do it because you either value time or you value money. If you value time, you're going to pay for it. If you value money, you're going to spend the time DIYing it and stumble uphill. So give them everything. Share all your secrets. Why not? Because if I shared everything I knew with you and I know nothing more, are your thoughts going to be, wow, he gave me everything. This guy's done. I can go find the next person. Or are they going to be like, what else does Jonathan know?
Okay, so Jonathan, you said something pretty controversial over there. You told us that it's good to put all of your secrets out there. And I know there are many coaches who say don't do that. Now, I wanted to ask you, is there anything else that, you would tell coaches to actually do, but maybe the general knowledge is not to do it?
That's a tough question because first of all, I don't really care what other people say to do, right? Like I'm a firm believer of doing what feels good and feels right. I'm not your typical guy marketer, bro marketer. So I don't subscribe to that, hammer him over the head, sales. Like I've tried that and it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for our business. So I've done the thing where I've tried to emotionally close them and I've used tactics that somebody might say, well, maybe you were pushing too much. Maybe you were coaching too much, right? I think there's no steadfast hard rule that says do this, you can't do that. But you have to really work with what's right for you and what is authentic. I had someone join our program and I always ask for permission, but on the sales call, I said, may I coach you? And we coached through this really challenging process. And it's someone that pays us, it would be someone that, if you hired us, you pay us a lot of money to work through these things. And she joined and all of that. And then I think she got scared because now that this space opened up, there was nothing supporting it, right? And the gap closed back with the fear. So I think you have to be very careful about how you have a conversation and what you do. When I say give all of your secrets, tell people everything, I don't mean on a sales call, tell them all the gadgets and widgets and all of that, right? The sales call is for them to get their questions answered, to know that you as the person on the call needs to know that there are going to be objections, hands down. Again, there's the outlier where you'll have one in every bazillion that's like, here's my credit card. You're like, no, wait, I need to talk to you about it. No, here's my credit card. No. I need to just tell you more and let you ask me some questions. No, let me just give you we do that on a regular basis. Like if somebody wants to, that's great. But you have to go into a call knowing that there's things you're going to have to discuss, knowing people are blocked because they wouldn't be on the call if things were working properly, right? In terms of things that are like taboo or no, or people are say, don't do this. And I say, do this, or do this. And I say, don't do that. You know, there are so many different types of sales processes. I would just say the one thing you want to do is just be careful that you're not using manipulation to close someone, right? And that's if you're working specifically with someone. If you have a program where they just go through modules, you're probably not talking to, but if you're like in a relationship with someone that you're working with, you want them to feel that when they find you and when they come to you and through the sales process, and then when they onboard and are working with you, that it just flows like you're going down the river, that there's no point in it where it feels like there's a speed bump and that they're all of a sudden on a different road or a different ride, because then there's a misalignment. They don't feel good about it. You don't feel good about it. And it changes everything.
Now, I wonder, because I know there are different ways to bring these people in, right? For example, you can use organic marketing. You can use ads. You can also tap into the power of networking. So I was wondering, what's your favorite way to bring these people in?
I love to connect, and connecting with people is one of my superpowers. And I love to be of service. That doesn't necessarily always equate into turning into a client. But if I'm looking at it in that regard, I'm looking at it from the wrong lens. In terms of like lead generation from a standpoint of I want to produce revenue, I think organic is the cheapest. Sometimes it can be the most long-term. But I am a huge fan of paid marketing, because what it does is it allows you to reach a larger audience than you normally would and let those people that are going to find affinity to you come to you. Now, it's really also important to make sure you have the right systems in place and you're putting out the right things. But I think paid marketing, if you have all of the pieces together, is the greatest way for the greatest reach to scale your business. You know, to scale your business from 0 to 100K, let's say, or 0 to 1 million organically takes a lot more work and time, also based upon your price point. If you have a price of $1 million, you just need one client. But if you're selling something lower, to hit that 6 or 7 figure mark, there's only so much reach you can have organically. But also, when you find what works organically, you can transition that into paid, and it can just put fuel on the fire. So often what business owners do is they don't have things that are working, but they're like, I want to grow, I want to scale, I'm going to run ads. They do it themselves. They don't find an expert. They take a little mini course. They think they can do it. It's not all their ducks are not in a row. And so they put money behind it and it fails. And then they blame Facebook ads don't work, TikTok ads don't work, Google ads don't work anymore, all of that. And what happens is they do, because there's plenty of people out there that are doing this for businesses, getting great results. But if you run ads without the things knowing what are working, you're just adding fire to a fuel that isn't going to work. Like if it doesn't work, putting ad spend behind it just means you're going to light that turd on fire even more. But if you have something organically that's working, you can transition that into ads so much better, and drives your costs down, the acquisition, your CPMs down, your click-through rates down, your lead acquisition, your client acquisition costs down, because people resonate. But people slap stuff up there way too fast, way too often.
I do know there's many coaches who are just getting started, they jump straight into ads, and because they don't have their messaging clear, they don't really have those pieces of the puzzle in place, they're going to end up wasting lots of money. And yesterday I was having another podcast episode. Someone told me that their clients spent $50K on ads without bringing one single client. So things can go really, really wrong. And I want people to know that the focus should, be to get those things working for you in the first place. And an indication that something works organically is a great indication that you can actually put money behind it.
Can I jump on that for a second too? And I think this is really important, because this is how we work with our clients. And my wife's superpower, which, whether you've heard it before this episode or heard it after, our foundation of what we do when we work with a client is the brand strategy and messaging. And it's all designed around lead generation and creative lead generation, specifically designed to create revenue. We come from where we learned everything was actually in the MLM space. And our mentor would get deals with companies And then he would drive thousands of leads and signups and just crush comp plans, right? And whatever your take on MLMs is, that's your business. But our skill set was learned in driving leads to get people to sign up. And so often people tend to do it for vanity, like put stuff out there, drive ads, the vanity metric, but don't have the special skill set for that lead conversion to revenue. Because if you just have somebody that signs up, how are you then turning them into dollars? So what we found, and my wife is branding, messaging, content, like savant, gets downloads, all this stuff that is incredibly amazing. So when we work with a client, 99% of people we work with or people we see or people we talk to, they don't have their messaging down. They don't have it so honed in and laser focused so that they know what they're saying, they know who they're talking to, and they know what works. And that, therefore, it means no matter what they're doing, no matter what you're doing, you're starting off on the wrong foot. And so when you have that clarity, when you know how to show up, whether it's your bios or your taglines or what you're posting or your sales page, what lead magnets you want, all of those things, if you're not filtering them through the same lens, you're doing yourself a disservice because you think you have the clarity. You think you know who you're talking to. But if it's not humming, if it's literally not working exactly how you want it to, if it's not easy, if it's not fun, then there's something off. And it may just be a little tweak, right? But when you get in an alignment, it makes things so much easier. It's so much more clear. And so we have this mastermind program, and we're transitioning into just working with clients one-on-one. But the first thing we do is have a strategy session with Sasha to get the clarity in their messaging, getting all those pieces, because that's the foundation for it all. And when you have that, and that's why our clients will go, like, if you're in like the 2 to 10K range, that's why if we come in, a month, very quickly, we can 4X that. Super simple. That's the results our clients get. And then once you have that working, then you add the ads onto it, then you can scale because it's economies of scale. But if you're not clear in the foundation, if you're not clear in those pieces, you're going to continue, as somebody once told me, to push a wet noodle up a hill. End of rant.
Love that. So, very interesting point, and I have a follow-up question for that, which is you mentioned that you take, coaches who already make between 2 and 10K, and then you can very easily 4X that. And I want to ask you, Jonathan, how can you very easily 4X that? What are the specific things that you change or improve to be able to do that?
That is an excellent question. And so when we work with our clients, if you're in that 2 to 10K a month range, there's things that are missing. And that I'll be completely honest, that's not my sweet spot. It's the thing that Sasha does. I work with the systems automations, the tech, the sales, all of that pieces. But she will go into what you're doing and find where there are gaps. What we do when you work with you, we leak proof everything, right? So there's nothing slipping out. So people are finding you're making money, but there's always the ability to do more. And so what happens is when you start showing up after you've started working with us, you're showing up in a way that, as we've said before, you're so clear on who you're talking to. You're so clear on what you're saying. You're sharing the hard things. You're standing on the hills you'll die on. Everything is seamless across. So whether they find you on LinkedIn or TikTok or Twitter or Facebook, you're in a webinar, all those pieces intertwine and you end up in their water park going down the slip and slide. Not the slip and slide, the water slide. And so that's really important. And it's just the results that happen with our clients. So we had a client come to us like stuck at the $2,000 to $4,000, $4,000 to $1,000 range, and she was positioning herself as the queen of copywriting or something like that. Now her vibe was not. Is she amazing, phenomenal, one of the best copy people? But her vibe was not queen, right? So just working with Sasha and getting a tweak to nail her tagline of who she was and how she spoke about it and the stories she would tell, people there was no more disconnect. What we do is we take out all of the disconnects so it's all in alignment. And then people go, oh, I relate. I have affinity. I want to know more. I don't need to even get on your sales page or book a call. Where can I hire you? Right? Like literally results from working with that client. instead of having to do more sales calls, she'd get DMs going, hey, can you send me a payment link? I need to sign up, right? Imagine in your business being able to show up in a way where people showed up for you saying, I'm just ready to give you money.
Well, that really sounds ideal, right? Now, because you mentioned, that you've changed the people show up online, maybe in real life, I think it's a perfect transition for us to move into the topic of how you can show up as, your better self, how you can build in that confidence to show up on the stage at events, to show up on Facebook Lives. So I wonder, what are the things that people should know? What are maybe some fears that you've seen over and over again, and how can they overcome those?
I think the first thing to remember is we're all human, right? And somebody once told me this. Put 20 people in a room and tell everybody to take their worst problem and throw it into the center of the circle. And then go around the circle and say, hey, everybody grab a problem. What'll happen is as you go around the circle, everybody will take their own problem because it's what they know and they're comfortable with, right? But also realize, and we've been talking about this a lot, the entrepreneurial space and the acting space are very similar. There's a lot of need for approval, need for acceptance. There's a lot of sometimes desire for greater confidence. Like booking an acting role isn't about knowing the lines perfectly, isn't about looking perfect. Like there are things you just can't control. Like one of my best friends is an acting coach and we're working with him now. And it's like nobody books a role because they got every letter and every word right. But it's how you show up in the room. Like Brad Pitt, his first major role was Thelma and Louise. And I will swear, and I know who he coached with for that role. She was a big name back in the day. I don't know if she still is, but he had so much swagger. And yes, he was great looking, but like his essence showed up, right? Is he fallible? Is his confidence perfect? No, we all have that. But when you can show up as you, when you can accept yourself, and that's a growth process, when you do the work on yourself, not looking for the external validations, whether you get it right or get it wrong or all those things, and you just say, I'm okay, you don't put your association or worth based upon the externals. And I'm guilty of this too. I used to base my worth on whether a sale closed or not. Did they get off the sales call and they closed? Oh gosh, I'm a piece of shit. Or, oh, it's a great day because they closed and we have a new client, right? Well, what if, whether they closed, whether they didn't close, you can have a bump up or a bump down, and yes, enjoy the highs. Put your attention on the positivity, but don't negate if you're feeling crappy, right? But imagine if those things were just, you're flying through the air and it's just like a little bump of turbulence. It's not like a hurricane that you're going through. Because let me preface this with, I am not perfect and my kids and my wife will tell you this, but when you have an emotional intelligence and you can control your emotions, the ride is a lot easier. But a lot of us don't necessarily have that. And as an entrepreneur, as a coach, there's so many pieces that are in your control and out of your control. But you can control how you show up, how you react, what you feed into your brain, and what you put attention on grows. And our brains are designed to keep us safe. So like my kids were going through this thing called GoZen. And it's this whole program. It's online for kids. Like there's anxiety and confidence and all this, and it's little cartoons, right? And there's two parts of your brain. There's the old brain and the new brain. And the old brain is the caveman brain, which tried to keep you safe from being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. And the new brain is the logical thinking. But what we do is the old brain takes over and creates worry and stress and negativity and focuses on this and doesn't communicate with the logical side of your brain that says, hey, I'm not going to die. This isn't a big deal. And it's stronger because it's been around for like millions of years, right? Like think about this. Ask yourself this question. When something happens or in your life, is your first thought like, wow, how can this be better? Or, well, the other shoe is going to drop, right? Do you get off a call and someone doesn't close and you go, they're coming back because they know they need to work with me and this is going to be amazing? Or does your brain go, I'm probably never going to hear from them again? We tend to go to one. And it's just the natural process of who we are, and everyone does it. Now, there probably are some people that don't, but you have to do the work to grow that muscle, to grow that strength. What was the original question?
How can we show up as our best self and overcome the fear of stage and public speaking?
I have more things. Okay, so another thing, when you show up, if you're new to showing up, if you've never shown up before, realize that it's a skill like anything else, right? Let's say you're like, oh, wow, Jonathan, he's animated and he's fun and energetic and all of this, right? First of all, I was a professional actor for 20 years, or am a professional actor for over 20 years. I'm an extrovert and all of these pieces, and I've done the practice and I've spoken on stages and all of those things. It's not like just overnight, but I'll tell you what, when I go to shoot a video and it's just me trying to shoot a video, and then I put it out there and you look at it and you go, wow, that was awesome. Well, how did he do that? Well, you're not seeing the 20 other takes that I'm flubbing stuff and not getting it right. Nobody's perfect. Just we aren't. But when you see the final result, you go, oh, I can't do that. Most people won't show you the progress. Most people won't show you the work they put in. You know why Tiger Woods is one of the greatest golfers? You know why Michael Jordan is like the greatest basketball player in the world? Michael Phelps is one of the greatest swimmers, is the greatest swimmer. It's because they put in the work, but you don't see the work. And, you know, that's what we teach our kids is like, here's the thing. The event, doing the play, the experience, that's the icing on the cake, right? 90% of it is the work you're doing before that. So if you're not doing the work before it, how do you expect to be great when you show up, right? Now, let's say you're an introvert. Nobody is 100% an introvert, right? So you're like, I don't like to go on camera. I'm not confident and all that stuff. First of all, practice. Do a Facebook Live. Set the setting where it's private only to you. And just do one. Your first video will be worse than your second, probably. But first will be worse than your fifth, and your fifth will be way worse than your 10th. Your 10th will be way worse than your 100th, right? Like our Jorge, our client, he's been acting professionally. And I mean, I'm talking, he was in War of the Worlds. He was in the Cry Baby, the Clint Eastwood movie. Like he's a very working actor. We were talking to him because when it comes to auditions, he auditions 4 or 5 times a week. And it's like, we were talking about learning scripts and all of that. And he's like, look, most people, you assume you're going to be auditioning a lot. But in the beginning, you're not going to learn 4 to 5 pages for one audition in a day or two, right? He's like, I can learn in 20 minutes a 4 to 5 page audition script. But I've been doing it for 25 years, right? So you have to give yourself the grace. You have to do the work. There is always a time where you felt confident. Whether it's with yourself, when you did something you won at, all of those things, all you have to do is tap into that. There's this really great exercise that you can do. It's called the power box. Call it whatever you want. The superhero box, the strength box, whatever. 3 by 3, take painter's tape so you don't ruin your floor. Create a box in a space where you can like walk around it. Literally walk around the box and you put in all the things that make you feel powerful, right? Experiences, thoughts, adjectives, right? And you keep doing this. You walk around the box and you walk around the box and you're putting all these things in it. And you're filling this box with superpowers, right? And you keep filling it until it's so full. And then you stand there as you're walking around. And when you feel it, you step into the box. But you don't step into the box until you can embody that. And you step into the box. And then you stand there as if you're embodying all of those things. And I will tell you, if you do this before any time you show up on a live, before you have to go to an appointment, before you're doing a sales call, all of those things, it will 100% shift your frame. So that's just one exercise that you can do. In terms of other things, movement is huge. us sitting having this conversation, like imagine how much energy I would have if I was standing. I'd be all over the frame. But movement, energy settles, and it settles in our body. So if you're feeling icky, why do people say go for a walk, get outside, do some jumping jacks, all of those things? It moves, it shakes up the energy. There's no way, if you're feeling crappy, that you go and do a 3-minute jog that you're going to feel worse, right? It's just a fact. So doing those things and listening to good stuff.
I think this is the absolute best way to get to an end to our episode. And if I may add, what I sometimes do, this is a little secret, and I'm going to disclose it now. Before my episodes, I've literally been starting to play Pump It from Black Eyed Peas. And I literally just jump around before I go on live. I just jump, and I pump it. Woo! So
music is amazing. Music is such a great way, like, to just change your state. Listening to a great song, or let's say in acting, you need to be in a state that's emotionally heavy, right? Well, listening to, Black Eyed Peas might not do it for you, but if you go and listen to a song that's really emotional, or if you go and listen to some sort of like opera, or some song that like is tied to like when your first significant other broke your heart and there was that one song, right? I know that song for me. I can take myself there because it has the power of emotion and it changes. So I love that. Like, you can fill yourself based upon what state you want to be in with different things.
Love that. Well, I think, we are at the end of this incredible episode. Jonathan, you have filled our hearts and mind with lots of the best energy and information. So thank you for this. And I want to thank the audience for sticking till the end. I'm sure they got lots out of it. Now, can you tell us, where can we find you? Why should we reach out to you? How can you help us?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you all a number of ways to reach out to us. So if you go to group.whatsgood.co, and that's good with 2 U's, that is our business community. It's a free community. It's on Slack. And it's a really great place if you're just looking for business advice or you want to connect with other business owners. You can find me on TikTok at Jonathan Does Things. I've been a little less active on there, but I'm bringing people in to make that work. Jonathan Does Things on Instagram. Also not my biggest place. You can find me on Facebook, Jonathan A. Schlossberg. That's my personal profile. You can email me at jonathan@whatsgood.co, again with the 2 U's. I'm literally on all of the platforms. So it's sort of like how you want to best connect with us. If you're interested in and why you should connect with us, I mean, if you're listening to this and you find affinity and you like kind of who we are, we just like to grow our community, our people, our relations. And if we can support you in your business, then fantastic. And if not, I'm going to point you to the person that can, because what I found is, more than anything, it doesn't serve me to work with you if I can't help you, right? And I'll just send you out, kind of the go-giver model. But if you want to learn a little bit more about our self-paced program, you can go to, I believe it's sevenfigurecontentblueprint.co/let's go, or gimme. I don't know. I'll give her the link and she'll put it in the description of this. But there's really so many ways to reach out to us. And it's just been an absolute treat to be back and to get to chat one-on-one and to have fun and to just share. And I am so grateful for you. And you are truly, truly one of the most present, listening, responsive, and engaging podcast hosts that I have ever met. So thank you for that.
Wow. I thank you for that. See, I'm going to take this and put it on my testimonial when I recruit the next guest. Take it from here. I have to tell you all, I'll make this very simple. All of the links and everything that Jonathan mentioned, I'm going to make sure that he will put it on his Penside profile so you can easily find him from there. And I encourage you to reach out to Jonathan, also to his wife, Sasha. They're a power couple, so you don't just get one, you get both of them and the whole network, which is very, very powerful. So in whichever way you think they can help you, they probably can, and they can do a good job. Well, I guess that was it. for today, folks. Anything else, Jonathan? Any last words before we say see you soon?
You know what? Yes. If anyone has any questions about what I talked to, thoughts about it, reach out to me. Like, my DMs are open. Like, I literally like to have conversations like this. Somebody will be like, hey, I have a question. I'll be like, you want to jump on a Zoom chat? Because I think it's important. So if this provokes thought, if you have a question, if you disagree with me, let's talk. Let's hit me up wherever you want to.
You heard the man. And yeah, well, I guess see you all for next one. And thank you very much. Wishing you all an amazing day and lots of clients and results. See you all.
Hope you enjoyed this episode.
We'll be releasing every Wednesday, so make sure to
Subscribe
and rate us 5 stars where you're listening to this show to give others a chance to discover it too.
What else does Jonathan know? We have an interruption.
Tomorrow, Aunt Jodie's coming.
Yes, she is. She's going to be here tonight. But I'm on a video call. You have to lock the door and go. Please. Children's. We've got the children's. Well, you can't shut the... Give me 1 second. Good thing this isn't live. Live. Give me kisses. Not you, Maria.